So imagine that you built and tested your prototype now, maybe even multiple rounds and versions. You've gone through a lot of product development processes, learned a lot, fixed problems, improved performance, and you even got the working final prototype that you're completely happy with it, and now you think you're ready for manufacturing. Here's the thing that no one tells you from the beginning, that actually jumping from a working prototype to production is a lot bigger than most people expect. Manufacturing is where everything gets real. And it's where lots of first-time innovators hit the wall because they don't have experience of that whole process, of what does that mean. So the reason for it is that production isn't just about copying your prototype. It's about translating that into something that can be manufactured consistently, efficiently, and at scale, but using the tools, machinery, equipment, and materials which is normal in the production facilities and processes, using what you have already developed in your development process. So manufacturers need to have the right set of information, design, drawing, documentation, and everything is that ready for them. And not necessarily everything you have in the prototyping is that. So you need to be able to translate and make it ready for them, so then actually they can get these informations and manufacture your product. Otherwise, they will start to have problems, or you will start to have problems because what they manufacture isn't what you expect. And that's not their problem, that's yours. So let's talk about what changes in the manufacturing. The first thing is the material. Your prototype might have been made from 3D printed plastic parts or CNC machine aluminum, for example. But in production, you are actually moving into injection molding, extrusion, metal stamping, laser cutting, casting, all those sort of other new processes. All of those requires design changes, tolerances, and considering that the materials have completely different behaviors. Second one is assembly. When you're building one or two prototype, hand assembly things with tweezers are completely fine. But production need simplicity, fewer parts, faster steps, lower cost, and very clear instruction. Ideally, no custom tools. So we often rework the design to make it easier and cheaper to build, not just to function, but full manufacturing processes. And third is cost at scale. You may have used off-the-shelf parts in your prototyping. Those might be too expensive or hard to source at volume. So in production, we might swap components, change suppliers, or even redesign the product to reduce the cost per unit. That's part of a DFM process, which is called design for manufacturing. And finally, testing and compliance. Before manufacturing, you will likely need to meet certain safety and regulatory standards. That means that if you want to build your product to a certain markets, the enclosure, wiring, electronic parts, plastic parts, from the safety and everything else is require some changes to make sure that they are meeting required standard for the market. So if you are thinking of a production, don't assume that the prototype is the final step. It's the foundation. But from there, we need to translate and refine the product to make it ready for manufacturing. And if you have done your design process and prototyping well, you might have considered some of these considerations I said to you from the beginning. So you might have considered the assembly, the ease of assembly actually, and for example, the required standard and regulatory requirements in your design or in your design for manufacturing process. But don't think that if you already gone through design for manufacturing process, that means that you are now 100% ready for manufacturing too. Still, lots of new collaboration and work needs to be done with exactly and directly with manufacturers to make sure that you are completely ready. In the next episode, we will briefly going through the whole process of setting up manufacturing and supply chain. There is a lot that needs to be done in that steps and in these processes, but we will cover briefly to give you some information that how we do this, finding the right manufacturers, wetting and checking if they are capable of doing your manufacturing or they can do what they say they do, and how to set up that whole process, especially if you are not dealing with one manufacturers and there are multiple suppliers that you will need to deal with if there are some off-the-shelf parts in your assembly that needs to be bought from a different type of suppliers. So all of these requires a lot of different liaising with different suppliers, different companies, and set up that whole process so then you can actually get your final product with the right quality and peace of mind for your market. So we'll briefly go through it. We might have other certain more in-depth discussion about this topic because it's really important. And of course, we are, as usual, posting some blog posts with more details about all these steps that we discuss in this episode and the next ones just after this video. Take care. Talk soon. See you.